Hey, this is Jeffrey Brown from Market for Yourself. Today's guest is Leland. Leland, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Leland Jones. I am the owner and CEO of Ceramic King Coatings of Virginia, four-time published author, and of course, an entrepreneur at heart. So out here at Ceramic King Coatings, I protect vehicles and give every vehicle the royal treatment.
So, Leland, how did you get into the car business, period? Like the ceramic thing. How did this? Because I know I hadn't heard of the technology myself. How did you get started in it?
Sure. It kind of started as a joke. I was in college working with a buddy of mine. We were cleaning out my vehicle at the time, and we were messing around, and he asked me, how could we start a business and make money? I said, man, you can make money doing anything, So I was like, look, we can make money doing this, as we were cleaning the car. And we joked, and I was like, look, I'll prove it right now. And so we went to Walmart, bought $300 worth of buckets, rags, stuff like that. And then we went to a local dog park and just stood outside of the dog park and said, hey, while you walk your dog, we'll wash your car and clean it up for you. And people were good for it. And people were asking us, well, what's your price? How much do you charge? We said, whatever you think is fair. And by the end of the day, we made all of our money back and made a few $100s on top of that, just out there for probably 4, 5, 6 hours, just cleaning car after car after car. And that was the inception of this. And years later, so that was 2018. So now, 5 years later, we're out here in Virginia Beach. We're one of the largest stores in the country in terms of volume, and we're doing a little over $1 million annually. We did $1.1 million last year, and we're gonna surpass that this year.
So tell us about the process of the ceramic coating, because I know most people aren't really educated about that. So kind of give them some education and tell them how it benefits them.
Absolutely. So ceramic coating, it's a newer thing to the market. It's been around since about 2013, 14, and started gaining popularity over the past 4 or 5 years. So ceramic coating, the process, it's a very in-depth process. So you're going to start off with a foam wash over your vehicle, do an iron decontamination, which is a chemical decontamination of your paint, gets all the brake dust, iron molecules, and metal contaminants in your paint out. Then you're going to go into the physical decontamination, which is called a clay bar treatment. That picks up all the physical road grime and stuff stuck in the pores of the paint. And then you're going to go into the paint correction process. This is when you get out your polishers and your compound and your pads and start going to town, taking out the swirls, scratches, fading, imperfections in your paint. Once all of that is done, you wipe the whole vehicle down with an isopropyl alcohol solution, and then you install the ceramic coating, which is a longest term. It's years worth of protection on your vehicle. You install that coating, install it properly, and then your vehicle is going to look like a piece of candy. It's going to have that deep glossy finish, and it's going to stay looking like that for years to come. Not to mention all the protection that comes along with it.
Now, is it a spray process, or is it just it's not, or is it some other kind of process? Do they spray the car with that, or?
No, so I'll show you actually. So so all right. Had to go into the vault. Okay, so this is what the coating actually looked like. So this is a 50 milliliter bottle. You put this onto an application pad in small amounts. You could do a nice 2x2, so 2 foot by 2 foot section with one application pad at a time. And you break up the vehicle into 2x2 sections. And this is what a true ceramic coating looks like in this bottle here. Any ceramic that is a spray or it sprays on the vehicle is not a true ceramic coating because of it's diluted. It's not going to give you the long-term protection. And ceramic has kind of become a buzzword in the auto detailing industry. So you go to the local auto parts store, you got ceramic waxes, ceramic sprays, ceramic sealants. They are not true ceramic coatings.
Right. Okay, cool. I kind of understand it now. So somebody wanted to reach out to you. I know you said, tell me about the book that you got. You wrote a book? Did you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a four-time published author. So I wrote three books, mostly for entrepreneurs, business and sales. So my first book I wrote, it's called A Journey with Purpose, A Guide to Starting and Succeeding as an Entrepreneur. The second book I wrote was called the Purpose Creation Booklet. So the first one is to help you get started as an entrepreneur. The second one is to make what you're doing as an entrepreneur meaningful, because it's not, being an entrepreneur is not all about the money, right? There's
Right.
all the entrepreneurs I know, they're all doing stuff for other people. And so that book kind of puts people on the right path to take what they're doing and make it purposeful. And then the third book, once you're up and running, it's kind of like a series, right? So the third book is A Journey with Purpose, A Guide to Overcoming and Conquering Failure. So now that you started the business, you have a purpose with the business, now you're starting to face obstacles and things are starting to get in your way. This book is meant to get you over those obstacles and get you in the right mindset so you can start focusing on growing and succeeding regardless of the failures or obstacles that you run into. Now, the fourth book, this was actually a co-authored book. It's called Raw Sales. This, I just basically took my sales knowledge and one of my business partners' sales knowledge, and we just kind of morphed it into one book. And it's the ultimate guide for finding, obtaining, handling, and closing leads. So those are the four.
So Leland, how do people reach you and find you if they want to maybe get some of your materials or maybe some support from you? How do they find you?
Sure. Well, you can always call our shop and ask for Leland. So you can find us here, 757-330-8099. You can always reach out there. Of course, you can reach me on social media personally. All of my social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, it's all at the Leland Jones.
Got it. Got it. Cool. That's interesting, man. And I didn't know you had those many books going. And it's really about being an entrepreneur. It's not really about the ceramic stuff. So
Right.
that's kind of like, wow. So that's cool, man. That's really cool. So Leland,
Yes.
is there something in this podcast that you wished I've asked you that I haven't asked you?
I wish you would ask me more about the guts and the process that comes with being an entrepreneur.
Right. And because I just discovered, I was like, whoa, he flipped on me. He was like, I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, yeah. I have my own ideas about that process, but I'd love to hear yours. I'd love to hear what you think that process is for somebody becoming an entrepreneur or doing that.
Sure. Well, I love when I'm going on social media and people put like entrepreneur in their bio and whatnot. Now I get a chuckle out of it because well, shoot, I was there one day. I was doing that. I thought if I just update my bio on Instagram and put entrepreneur, I'm now an entrepreneur, right?
Right.
Well, I realized it had nothing to do with it. It was not about how people perceive me. It got to the point where I wasn't even calling myself an entrepreneur. Everybody else was calling me an entrepreneur. Everybody was like, Leland's this entrepreneurial guy. He's got this, you know what I mean? So what does it take to be an entrepreneur? Well, obviously, an entrepreneur is someone that takes big risks, financial risks, in hopes of financial return. And that's the definition of an entrepreneur. But from my experience and all the entrepreneurs that I've ever met, I've found one key thing. They're all doing stuff for other people. So it's all outward focused. And I use examples like I could take this pen, right? Just something laying around. This pen by itself it's just a piece of plastic and metal put together. It's nothing. But
Right.
until I take out some paper and I start, using this for what it's meant to do, then it becomes useful, right?
Right.
And I could take anything. I could take a water bottle, right? I could take my keys. These are just pieces of metal right here. But until I use them for what they're meant to be used for, then they become useful. And I take that example all the way up to Jesus Christ, right? And his purpose, it wasn't internally focused. It was for everybody else, right? So if you go all the way from, some metal all the way up to Jesus Christ, somewhere on that spectrum is you, right? Is you as an individual. So I think it's foolish to believe that individuals don't have a purpose to to contribute to the world, right? And what I mean by that is your purpose isn't hiding behind a bush and it'll just jump out and be like, hey, I'm your purpose, right? It's all the things that you've done in your life up to this moment. It's all the people you hang out with, the business you start or don't start, or the career that you pursue, the ventures that you do or don't do, the risks that you do or do not take. All of those decisions that you make up throughout your entire life, perhaps even the reason you started this podcast. I'd imagine all the things leading up to even you creating this podcast, it wasn't about you. It was about how you could help other people obtain more information and serve themselves better and do more things, right? And so it's that exact same concept about finding out what that thing is and then making it an obligation to other people to pursue it. It's not, it doesn't have to be a self-centered thing, because easily, I could have taken my company I have right now, done one car a day and made $30,000 a week by myself, limited overhead, and been happy, making $30,000 a month or whatever, right? I could have been happy. I could have gone on vacations, hung out with my wife and my kids, but I decided not to. I decided to hire on a whole team of staff and managers and employees and have this operation because I found it was bigger than myself. And if you ask all of my employees that work for me here, every single one of them knows that I do not want them to retire here. It's not my ambition for them to be so loyal to my company that this is where they should be the rest of their lives. If that's where they end up, that's perfectly fine. But they all know I'm rooting for their individual success. So when they work here, they know that at any point in time, they can come up to me and say, Leland, this is my next venture. This is my next thing I'm doing. I can shake their hand, congratulate them, and ask them, how can I help you best on your next adventure? And I've had employees come and go, and they all know that. And all the ones that have left, they know I'm rooting for their success. They can always come to me. They can always come back. And now they look at me more as a resource and a friend versus just their boss or employer. And so I think entrepreneurship at its core is really about, well, I think successful entrepreneurship is less about updating your bio on Instagram and more than just the definition on Google. I think it's more about serving people, doing what's best for other people, using your God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people say, yeah, well, how do I make money by doing that? And so
Right.
I think it's more like solving a problem. So you may
Yeah.
have a purpose of doing something and you're actually benefiting somebody else's life. You're
Right.
contributing to their life. But when you contribute to their life, typically you receive something from that. And
Right.
sometimes it's goodwill, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's whatever that may be. But when
Right.
you're able to solve a problem or make a contribution to somebody else's life, I think that you have an opportunity to make money. So
Right.
the law of reciprocity happens.
That's right.
Like just like there's going to be sunshine, there's got to be rain.
Right.
That's the way it's created. So you got to receive something at some point.
Of
It's
course.
just the way the law works. So
Right.
I think that they're just not aware that that law exists, and no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Do you have a book funnel?
A
Like where
book.
book?
Oh, you know what? I'm actually working with a guy. I used to have one, and then I didn't have one, and then my publishers, they blasted it, and then so it's been on and off. But I'm actually working with the guy right now. We're setting up a whole book funnel. We're going to do a relaunch of everything. But right now it's not. I mean, you can get it on Amazon or Walmart or
Right.
Barnes and Noble or whatever. But right now it's I don't have a proper book funnel set up.
Right. We want to do that because I think when we do this next time, we want to have the people come and go get that book.
Okay,
Um,
that'd be cool.
and the next time we'll do that. But man, I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge about entrepreneur. I think next time you do come on, we want to go a little bit deeper and about
Sure.
what happens when you become that. What are some of the steps that you're going to have to take, and what are the things that are going to be going through your mind when you when you start that process, and the money is not it's not going the way you think it should go, and you're like, wait a minute,
That's
right?
right.
So, but I want you to come in and talk about that, Lena, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, Jeffrey. It's been a pleasure.
All right, man. And until next time, this is Jeffrey Brown and Market for Yourself. We'll see you soon.